It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
So now let's talk about when is random not really random.
Because if you think of, the stock market, it seems to be random, right? And if you talk to someone who hasn't been investing for a while or doesn't know a lot about it, they equate it to gambling. Like, okay, I guess it's chance. I guess it's
way
flipping.
too many people. And I get it. I think when you look at the raw data, which we're going to visually show you, a lot of people will say, man, how is there anything systematic? How is there anything that you can measure and count on in the long term from that craziness? Yep. And it makes sense. So, kind of walk them through it.
So this is a brainchild of ours, Brian, because we really wanted to figure out how we could depict and how we could show this. So we went and pulled some data, and this is how we have it laid out. We said if we look at a 60-40 portfolio, and for the 60, we just use the S&P 500, and for the 40, we just use the 10-year T-bond, right? So just indices here. From 1953 and all the way through the end of 2018, what did that portfolio return on a year-by-year basis? So you can actually see all the years shown there. There's a 1953 right at the 0 line, and 54 up there close to 35. Every single year is a year. That kind of goes.
Well, and look, there's also an average there. I see right next to the orange line, there's 9.31, 9.51. I'm getting older, so I don't see distances as well. But there's close to 9.5%. But everything, when you visually look at this, looks like it's random.
It's a
there's a
scatter
lot
plot.
of them that are below the line. There's a lot that are above the line. It is hard to make anything that seems rational out of this pattern.
What I'll even add to that is it's amazing how few years actually fall on the line.
Yeah.
For a period of time, a 65-year period of time,
it looks like maybe 4.
Average return is 9.5. It doesn't seem all that average at all. So we said, okay, well, what happens if we stretch this out a little bit? Rather than looking at it on a year-by-year basis, what if we look at it on a 3-year rolling basis?
Oh, wow. Look at just in 3 years, this line is starting. It looks more like a wave, but it's not as random. It's not like you just threw darts at a sheet of paper. Now it's starting to look like a wave, almost like that market that I was talking about, where economics go through cycles.
Now, and the other thing I love about this, just from a behavioral standpoint, just stretching it out 3 years, looking at this data, there are only 3 periods, 1974.
That's amazing.
Ending in 74, ending in 75, and ending in 02, where the market over 3-year running periods was below zero, where you would have lost money.
That's a great point. There's not many that are actually below zero when you look at them on a 3-year basis.
But we know that when we talk about investing, we don't just talk about doing it over 3 years. We said, what happens if we stretch this out and look at it over 5 years? So now this is the same data over 5-year rolling returns.
If you're listening to this on the podcast, this is more reason I do want to encourage you. We try to make sure our content is very digestible, both audio side as well as video. But this is one that you're probably going to want to go pull up the video on this and even look at the highlight, because it is amazing. Look at this. The 5-year average, Bo, is still over 9%.
9.07.
But there's not a single year, because it's a 60-40 split. It's from 1953 to the end of the 2018-2017 period, that it went negative. That's pretty powerful information.
Dare I say, this is looking a lot less and less random. So then we said, okay, well, now let's stretch out to actually being long-term. What if we look at it on a 10-year basis, from 1953 all the way through the end of 2018? Look, the average still stays 8.98%. Well, now, Brian, this does look a lot like that market cycle of emotions that we showed. Again, no downers, and it all compresses around that average. And then we said, okay, well, now let's start talking about like a working career. Let's start talking about some real time. If we look at this on a 20-year rolling basis, holy cow.
That's powerful stuff.
You
really does consolidate on that line right in the middle.
There's some variation, right? It depends on what cycle you're in, but this doesn't really look all that random to me at all. It looks like there actually is some rhyme and reason to what the market does over the long period of time.
Big difference between, look at this, from the 1-year basis versus 20-year basis. And that's why we tell you, if you're going to do investing, it's not a 1-year decision. It's not a 2-year decision. It's really, you need to be a long-term investor where it's 5 to 7 years at a minimum that you can walk away from the money. That way you don't get caught in a bad market cycle.
Because how many times, Brian, and I remember when we were both younger, we used to do this. We'd tell our friends, hey, you got to go do a Roth. It's so exciting. And they would go max on a Roth 1 year, and they might have just happened to do it in 2007.
Yeah.
Or they might have done it at the beginning of and then the market tanks. I'm like, oh, why'd you tell me to do this investment? Well, they did half of it right. They started investing, but they did not keep investing. And that's exactly right, Brian. You have to it's a process you continue to participate in, not a one and done type event.
So make sure you drive through it, go power through those dark times, because we're going to show you one more stat that I think if you walk through this chart, it's so powerful because it now puts numbers to exactly what we're talking about. If you were trying to put statistics to how often markets go up on a 1 day basis, 1 month basis, 1 year, so far out, what does it actually show you?
Yeah, so we actually ripped this from one of our previous shows. You can go listen to that. But this is the frequency of S&P rolling periods. And this actually goes from 1969 all the way through 2018 on a 1 day basis, right?
Well, I have to put, the reason this has got the Abound Wealth logo is we do private commentary, and every quarter we do a video commentary. This is actually one of the slides we used in the video commentary. So if you are a client of Abound Wealth, maybe you're part of the Money Guy family and you take it to the next level, this is one of those side benefits that we try to keep you inside information that's not out there for everybody. But we like this so much, we decided, you know what, let's let them see behind the curtain and see this great research piece.
That's right. So on a 1 day basis, day by day, about 53% of the time, the market is positive. If we stretch that out to 1 week, about 57% of the time on a weekly basis, the S&P 500 would be positive. If we go out to 1 month, now we are 62% of months from 1969 through 2018 were positive. 1 year, this ties all the time, Brian. You always say this about 8 out of 10 years, the market is up. This shows it for a fact, 80% of the time the market is up. On a 5 year basis, it goes up to 9. Now remember, we showed you the 60-40 on that missing the mark slide. This is just the S&P 500.
Because we diversify for our clients. So it's going to get even better when you add diversification. But still, even with an aggressive portfolio of just the S&P 500, 5 years, 89% of the time you're making money.
That's right. On a 10-year basis, we are up to 95% of the time. And then 15 years, Yahtzee, bingo, we hit 100.
Every one of you guys that is in your 20s and 30s who are writing comments on YouTube where you're saying, why would I buy into this high-priced market? I want you to see that. Even if you are the world's worst investor, and you're buying at the tippity top, say you're right and the market's going to crash next week because you have the perfect crystal ball. This is showing you, we fast forward, because remember, you're not retiring. If you're in your 20s and 30s, you're not really touching that money until your 50s, 60s, 70s. You got 20, 30, 40 years before you can touch the money. All you have to wait is 15 years, and there's pretty much 100% of the time, you're still going to make money in the long term. That is one more reason that the lazy, boring investor wins. You just got to drive through the smoke, put the money to work, and it does the rest for you.
This is what I love, Brian. You didn't say you have to go analyze the stocks. You didn't have to pick the right one. You didn't have to get the price to earnings right. You didn't have to buy at the right time and sell. It wasn't complicated. It was actually frustratingly simple how to set yourself up to be a successful investor.
Being wealthy is simple. It's all behavioral. Will you do the right steps? And what it breaks my heart, because I grew up in this type of household, is the person that is good enough with money that they can save, but they just never let the army of dollar bills actually do the hard work. Right. If you can save money, you've got the hardest part of the equation done. You just now need to unleash the power of compounding interest and let your army of dollar bills actually do the work.